Hey everybody, this is David de Hilster, and I am back for today. We have an absolutely exciting show today, the new directions for this whole organization. I've told you I've been very busy, but working on things, and hopefully all of our guests will be here shortly. But stay tuned for amazing things today. Hey everybody, it's David de Hilster. I am the president of the CNPS, and today we're going to be having some speakers talking about some bold and new directions for our group. And I'm very excited to have these people. We've been organizing the last couple of months and talking to each other, but in reality, we've been working on these kinds of things, many of us, for much more than that. But today, the presentation is going to be by myself. I'm president of CNPS. I'm also the host of the Dissident Science YouTube channel. We'll be hearing from Matt Stroul, a future producer and host of the Dissident Science podcast. And Greg Volk will be talking about the Natural Philosophy Institute, which is going to be a newer direction for us. And of course, we have one more person, as we announced, Dr. John Reed, who is a supporter of the MPS and is a person who is looking for funding. So, wow, I've got these slides. I've not used these slides. But before we go on, I do want to thank very much Conceptual Systems and Amnon Myers. He has been my best friend since 1990. He and I work in the area of, artificial intelligence and natural language processing. And we have a small company called Conceptual Systems. He's the CEO of it. And he has graciously given us the server on which we have all of our websites. And that is a lot, because before that was costing us $700 to $800 a year. That sounds like a lot, but of course per month it isn't too bad. But this is a dedicated server. He has also been paying for, specifically for me, to use a Pro Claude account, which is really just a force multiplier for programming, for summarization, and those kinds of things. And I've been using that quite a bit. It's not super cheap per month, but he is doing that. We have our own work with NLP++. So that's been, something that we must thank him for as well. He is also the co-creator of the NLP++ programming language. He and I came up with starting in 1998, and it's actually starting to get legs. People are starting to pay attention to it because of the large language models are probabilistic and hallucinate. Our technology does neither, and it does natural language processing, one input, one output. So starting to actually use that in industry a little bit. And we have, of course, 3 decades. He has 3 decades, more than that, actually, 4 decades of natural language processing, McDonnell Douglas, TRW, UC Irvine, AI Lab, etc. So we do want to thank him, because it basically has been donating some time and money, actually, to the who's been keeping the Saturday morning sessions going. Of course, want to thank so much Ian Cohen, who has hosted. Now, be careful. He's hosted 33, meaning that's how many he has actually been the host of, with other people talking. That's quite amazing to do that, because he is to do that's not easy. You got to take on people and ideas that maybe you're not so familiar with, be cordial with them. And of course, he has been much more than that, but he is named on 129 sessions in total. So it's probably these counts. I got them from Claude. I said, go out and count these things for me. And it could be that it's much more, but 129 sessions altogether. Without him, really the NPA really wouldn't be active the way it has been. And of course, Roger Anderton has made 59 sessions, and tied with Franklin Hugh as well as most of anybody. They've been named in 241 sessions. session pages. We'll talk about that. And everybody else has presented different speakers, 159 different speakers, 726 people have appeared across sessions in the CNPS over the years. And of course, none of these people get any, they're not part of a committee or honorarium, but I do want to, again, thank them. We do have 669 recorded sessions, every one since 2019 onward. We actually have that now in our Wikipedia, and we'll be talking about that. Today's CNPS basically centers around and revolves around the Saturday morning sessions. There are really no more in-person conferences. I think the last one was in 2018. That era kind of is over. It's just not feasible anymore. And with the way we do things now, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Membership is not growing. It is keeping, in the sense of paying and membership dues, we're doing okay. We're financially stable, but we're really not growing. We're shrinking. To give you an idea, our email list for probably about 2 years ago was over 1,000. It's now down to 634. A lot of it's attrition. People are actually, we're losing people because a lot of the people in the CNPS are older. We've lost quite a lot of people over the years. And so that's kind of the state of where we are now. We're entirely run on volunteers, and it's hard to get really new people involved. So today's websites, we have naturalphilosophy.org, who we are, Saturday morning sessions, how we take part. It's brand new. Again, I'm using Claude to help out to make these things more modernized. It's like having 5 programmers being able to work with me. Beyond Mainstream is from 2015 to 2021, more or less. It's kind of been just stuck there, but we get a lot of visitors. I think we're in the 250,000 visitors to that site so far. So I don't quote me on that. And then of course we have the Wikipedia, the wiki for natural philosophy, which I'm going to talk about today extensively, which is absolutely incredible now. I myself, if you want to know who I am a computer scientist in artificial intelligence and natural language processing for 4 decades in industry and research. Right now, I'm actually working in a startup with right now using LLMs and NLP++. Got a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and a Master's in Linguistics because of natural language processing. That was at Ohio State University. I'm currently an adjunct professor at the Northeastern University in Miami. Northeastern's based in Boston, if you don't know. It's the #1 co-op school, meaning students get their hands-on in the industry. Co-author of the NLP++ programming language and the visual text environment. President and co-founder of the CNPS and co-founder of the Natural Language Database and the wiki that we're going to be talking about. Kind of founder and editor-in-chief of the Beyond Mainstream, and I started the Dissident channel 2017. It got about 5,000 subscribers, and I am also producer and director of the movie Einstein Wrong. So I spent 34 days with Claude Bot. That is basically, Claude is not intelligent, it's just the tool, but it's very good at going and out there doing research on the internet. Those are agents which use Claude, the large language models, to go out and do research, bring stuff back. For the first 20 years, it was really done by people, myself and Greg mostly. And in these 5 weeks, it's turned from into the most comprehensive encyclopedia for science outside of mainstream. 45,000 edits, 4,267 new pages. There's something else there. These get munged when you do it. During the last 3 months, I've been using Claude to do a number of things. NLP++ version, that's C++ programming language, if you don't know it, and also TypeScript. And I've brought NLP++ from version 2 to version 3. It's like having 5 Davids doing programming. It does well at programming, of course. And also a startup I've been working on, large language models, and of course this wiki as well. I kind of said that already. And this is what all started it. I basically was working with NLP++, and I go, I could open up, what you do is you open up a text editor called VS Code. You open it up to literally go right to the server. So it's sitting on the server. It can do things on the server. So I said, hey, please research Andre Assis, one of my good friends from Brazil, great scientist, by the way, on the internet. Make a more detailed page. He had 8,500 bytes. Today, it's got 33,000 bytes. And that's really what started it. I realized, my goodness, it could go out there and do all this busy work. Just go out to the internet and research, go all over the place. I mean, it's quite remarkable. And so I thought, well, while I am programming, I have literally sometimes 5 or 6 Claudes working at the same time. So I go over to the one Claude and have it work on the Wiktionary, Wikipedia. So there are now 13,209 pages, average of 3,500 bytes. There are 4,584 articles that are under 1K that are kind of smaller. And the revisions we've had since 2016, there was only there was 27,000 revisions. It was really built once in the late 2000s. There were some like 2,600 revisions during the 9 years. That sounds like a lot, but a lot of it's automatic from the Wiktionary, Wikipedia itself. And it kind of it also rotted, meaning there's a lot of stuff in there that was broken and things like that. So over the 34 days, Claude Bot, guided by me, has made 45,000 edits. It's created the 4,200 pages. It's touched 99.4% of the pages. That sounds like almost impossible, but you'll see it's not. It can do quite a lot, especially with Python. And we are up 61% in this from what we had before. It really is stunning. We also have 17 scheduled jobs that are working. Let's see, things I actually typed. Oh, it says right there, 1,847 things I typed into Claude to be able to do this. So I've been working, guiding it for quite a while. This gives you an idea of how much we worked on the Wikipedia. And that gives you an idea. These seem like a lot. No, these are like 200, 300 edits, folks. Looks over here. It's quite a lot. So it's amazing how much we did. 4 things that it generally does well at: large language models. I am an expert, one of the foremost experts in natural language processing in the world, especially with deterministic stuff. It's very good at programming and mathematics. Why? Because programming and mathematics are perfect languages. They're not like human language. Human language is what we call an open language. It's very good at programming mathematics. So they're just patterns. And people say, oh, it's intelligent. No. And the reason it's finding proofs in mathematics is it's just trying a gajillion things because it's good at pattern matching. That's what it does. It's a probabilistic pattern match. And because mathematics is a language that's a closed language, it can do well. It can do well at programming. It does well at research. It can go out and get stuff. It does good at summarizing. Why? Because summarizing means you take a lot and make it less details. And of course, probability is and if Claude were to, or any large language model would be constantly writing its own text and then training on its own text, they have done this. And I think in, I don't know, 19 loops, it ends up saying only 3 words because it just is constantly making it more generic. So yeah, it's not intelligent, never was, never will be, can never be, but it is very useful. And of course, how long it's going to last, we don't know. I'm pretty sure OpenAI, if you don't believe me, research is probably going to go under. Claude may, Anthropic may survive of all of them. Right now, we're doing some reading of papers. That's pretty interesting. I actually have it over here. I'm going to type in here. I'm going to say next batch. And it's literally going, and right now it's going to go and do research on the next 4 articles, because we have 1,100 papers with links to papers, and I have it write an 1,800 word summary of it, and they're very good. I've checked them. The summary, large language models do very good at summary. So that's what we're doing. We're running on that. Biographies as well. I've had to go through and make these more, how do you say, if you look at the scientists, I think we have, what, 5,000 scientists now in here, the ones that have a bigger biography, are trying to make them easier and more, how do you say, more standardized. So we're doing that. Let's see, turning videos back into, this is really interesting. I said, hey, Claude, you can go out and get the transcripts for all of our videos and videos from other channels that I deemed in this area. And they can go and get that information and, look at that and look at the transcript. I'm going to show you something after this presentation of last week's talk, which already has a wiki page and has a summary of what went on. And I wasn't even there because I've been just working so hard. I haven't seen it. So all of these sessions we've done are now have been, how do you say, summarized and cataloged in the wiki. The other thing we did, it's just so much we've done. It's amazing. I said, hey, while we're at it, let's go and look at Jean de Clément's worldwide list of dissident scientists. And there's actually, 2,137 pages of it. And I said, go through all of that and check. Well, it turns out that 2,093 of the people in that had a page. And we also had then, it's now up to 2,500 because Claude can go and do stuff and look at those things. There are 5,221 names that we have not been able to identify by going out and doing research. 450 of them, however, we have recovered. So it's quite amazing, the busy work that we can do. In the last 20 years, what's happened is Greg and I brought into I took, in 2016, I took these papers, books, and scientists. I made an NLP++ converter to make them into wiki pages. And then I populated the wiki. That's the way I did it. But I didn't do events, attendance, abstracts, presentations, and even things that we now have. So during this time, I went through, I'm sorry. Yeah, during this time, we did the world list of dissident scientists is now firm and strong inside of our wiki. You can go to literally a page of all the scientists that were ever listed in that. So we have taken Jean Clément's and been able to, one of the biggest things Greg and I want to do is to make sure we preserve all this stuff. Incredible stuff. I said I needed new info boxes. I wanted one for events. We didn't have one. I wanted one for a talk. People give talks. We should be able to have a page for that talk. Did it, made it. We now have 327 events, 695 talk pages. And and we have 21 templates in total. Templates are when you go to the page and has a little info box there. So our catalog has really become a graph. If you go to a paper and you go to a section it was read at, and then the conference, and then everybody who attended the conference and their papers, all that stuff is in there. Thanks to Greg, Volk, and myself working by hand for years and years, cataloging this into the old database system. So it is quite linked. In fact, two of the members with 44 and 15 events between them had empty name fields. And from that, we've identified 46 abstracts, etc. It's just fixed it like crazy. A lot of damage into it, it fixed too. A lot of question marks from weird ASCII, letters and stuff like that. So we've fixed a lot of those. Dead links, we got rid of 10,000 dead links. Papers that were going to nowhere anymore. There were a lot of videos that we don't have anymore. So there was lots of pointers to things that just didn't work. So if you were to go to this, you're just going, it's just not that great. It's also now, we have it licensed. The wiki now says the proper things in a license. I won't go into that very much. We also now have extensions. If you don't know what those are, you can extend. Wikipedia is open source. So we're using the latest version of Wikipedia. And we also me and Claude invented a few more things: related topics, suggested content, and I said, I hate the search on it. So we've come up with 3 new extensions for Wiki, Claude and I, that could actually be put into their extension library for everybody to use. The front door and the load, there are 2 things that was, our homepage was just, you know, Wiktionary homepage is, Wikipedia homepage can be very boring. So I worked with Claude on doing some really great things to make that page really be attractive to people. And we used to get 44% of the crawlers were looking at unreachable URLs. So our wiki was slow because we had the robots today, especially from large language models, are coming at you like crazy. In fact, if you're in this, it's going to be pointing to you. It's indexing faster than ever. And if you search your own name, I'm almost guaranteed that you're going to, if you're in this Wikipedia, it'll be listed. And we went from 13.6 seconds from load down to 5 in the sense of a load ratio. So we were having problems with that. Really, the two works, the things that we've assembled is the Greg Volk and David de Hilster. We had the majority of the entries to what's in there. He and I did. I actually didn't know. I said, Claude, go and count how many lines of code I wrote in PHP in the 2000s to make the database and the interface we had. 231,000 lines of code I wrote by hand. That was, I thought it was 100-some thousand, but it's over 200,000 I wrote. Jean Clément's, his dissident list, and of course the CNPS. So this is by far the encyclopedia for science outside the mainstream with this information, and really it's quite amazing. It really is quite amazing. So let me show you. Let's see here. Remove. Let me show you some things here. The website. So let me get to the website, and we'll look at the wiki that we just talked about. How do I share? Right here. Okay, share screen. Yeah, I've been using this for a while. Wiki window. No. Natural language wiki. Hello. It's not wanting to share easily. Come on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to share this. Let's try it one more time. Share screen. Okay, I'll just do window. I don't like just the window because it's going to be weird. Let me get it bigger and make it bigger here. I'll make it smaller because you can see. Okay, so here's our natural language wiki, natural philosophy. I get that mixed up all the time. It says here, welcome to the Natural Philosophy Wiki, a repository of scientific information that includes viable alternative to consensus-driven science. It is only outside the mainstream where you will find the next revolutions in science. It says here that 11,000 pages and growing. The last 30 days, we've had 1,200 pages. First thing I did was put up these big questions. These big questions come from what we do. There are 61 of them. They rotate every day. So when a person comes here, different or do the contents of the Earth, are they smaller? Is there any experiments that tells Einstein from Lorentz? Has everyone ever seen a quark? Does Newton's bucket? If you click here, you will get all the big science questions. So that's quite amazing. Down here, I have featured scientists. Actually, there are scientists from the beyond mainstream, which will be featured over here. So these are going to kind of be the ones that I've picked out and other people picked out as the main people. So these are picked out once a day from that, and you can click on theirs. And these other ones are from 521, what I call feature scientists, who have very extensive wiki pages. Again, it's not important that you read it. I'm going to use my trackpad, but you can just see, let's just go to one. We'll see here how big these are. So they're quite extensive. And we also, I have books here. There are 274 books. We're getting more and more books because there are lots of links. And it tells you about that, about what we are. It says that we do not allow people to edit, because that's exactly what happens. If you let everybody edit, they will turn it into a consensus machine, and that's something we don't want to do. You can look at the theories challenged: Big Bang, or is it eternal, plate tectonics, Earth expanding, relativity, are clocks, do clocks merely run slow, dark matter, different laws, can that be explained by different laws in gravitation, standard model. And we have one of the most amazing things, and I want to show you, let me pick on one here. Let's do ether, because there are a lot of people who are etherists here. Now, if you look at the page now, what it does is, in the beginning, it talks about the ether stuff. But as you go down, you start to talk, Claude has done this. It reads about all this stuff and it summarizes this. Why was ether abandoned? Why do dissidents reject it? And it comes down here. And then it says, families of ether models on this wiki. It did all this. It did all this. In probably a couple of minutes, it does these things. But I worked on all the major light, gravity, dark matter, dark energy, space-time, relativity, all of those things. And this is a huge page now. So what we have is the ability to have people come and they can read about ether and its historical part, but then it can, you can read about everybody in this wiki that disputes it, or, talks about different models for ether, for instance, because I know there are a lot of etherists here. Quite amazing. Let's take I just can't show you everything. Let's do this. Let's go back to the beginning here. And I do want to click on down here, talks, live sessions. We have 670 live sessions with a page with descriptions. Let's go to this one. And it does them by the year. So here's the last one. This was 15th of August. This was a week ago. Let's look at what it's there. Oh my goodness, reevaluate nuclear binding energy and mass defect proton. Here's a summary, the discrepancies. Claude goes out there, reads the transcript, and then writes about 1,800 words about what was in it. That's amazing. That's just amazing. And remember what this does is that all the engines are going to come out and look at this stuff. They're not going to go and follow a link to a paper. They're not going to go to a video and look at its transcripts and try to understand it. This is just absolutely, it's mind-blowing what these things can do. So I'm going to take a random page here. Usually random pages will give us something. Is just have I will try this one. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to cut and paste this over to Claude while we're doing this live. I don't know if this one's going to have anything. I'm going to just say expand. And I paste in that, and it's going to go looking at it. Let me do one more. Oh, there's one of my talks and the Dissident channel. That one's got stuff. I'm just trying to find one that doesn't have, that's a page. That's not going to have anything either. Biography. I'm going to see if this guy can get bigger too. Okay, so what I'm doing again is I am coming into Claude and saying, hey, can you make these, go out and do research and make this bigger. That's what I've been doing all the time. And sadly, it's found people who I dearly love and who worked with that have died, and I didn't even know it, and have found their obituary and put the date in. Somebody like Duncan Shaw. Oh, man, those are hard things to see, but it's quite amazing. Let me go to the natural language, natural philosophy website. And so you can take a look at that. It's been updated, brand new. You can also do dark mode, pretty cool, up to date. It says 1,600 papers received, 30 years of inquiry. 90 live sessions held, and this is in the last so many, I think whatever time. Wiki pages are there. We have our forum, which is a real forum that we have available. We have our live discussions, of course, our wiki and database and memberships are there. You can see on screen, this gets updated automatically. I have a little program, and that's a cron that runs every so often, says, hey, go grab the latest. So there we are. It's sitting. I didn't change anything. And then also our newsletter, which is the thing that everybody receives through MailChimp. So that's pretty amazing that we have this totally new website look that's very modern. And we have websites, YouTube channel, donate, members. So you can still log in and pay your membership and all that. So anyways, it is absolutely stunning to me what we have in the Wikipedia. I just think it's I can't fathom it yet. I can't fathom it. It is so. It is a true Wiktionary, Wikipedia now, and it is the resource for dissident scientists. I just don't know what to say. Take a look and browse around, but what it means is all the things that we're going to be talking about today, this is going to be the main page of where people can come to it. This is the only place where you're going to have all of us who've worked on this. And thanks to Claude having almost not free busy work, but it's $200 a month, busy work, that allows us to grow and make this bigger and better all the time. And the things that I would recommend everybody go and look at are really down here in these browse by topic. Those I think are going to be the most interesting, because what you're going to see there are things that you probably don't know. If you're an etherist, go click on the ether. You're going to see everybody who talks about ether. You're going to see their profiles. You're going to see the pages there, the books, everything. That's incredible. And why? Because we have a summary, busy worker, researcher out there that does these things. So, amazing. I don't even have words. I still am speechless to take a look at this. And if you come to this web page and you've never been here before, and you see some of these big questions of the day, which change every day, it's quite amazing. And of course, Claude has this up and running. This is us running our own version on our own server, the Wikimedia stuff. So, okay, so let's see here, remove. And now I'm going to, let's see, Dissident, the stage. Let's go to the next person here. Our next presenter, who is here, I believe he's here, yes. I've seen him. Matt Stroul, up there, I see him waving. He is the future producer and host of the Dissident Science podcast. He's a technology executive and consultant, blending technical depth and strategic vision to drive digital transformation. So he's in the tech area just like me. He and I met actually on in a company that was processing resumes that was based on some of my natural language stuff, and that's where we met. He's held CTO, CIO positions in future tech. He's the secretary of the Natural Language Processing Foundation. He's known professionally as Fractional Mateo, and he will produce and host the Dissident Science podcast, carrying our audience and growing our membership. That's the whole idea. So let me take this down, bring him up. Let's see here, add to stage. Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I am clearly not caffeinated enough to match your energy.
Oh, that's right. You know what, folks? You have to give everybody freaking West Coast. I mean,
I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah, it's like what, 7:30 in the morning. So he's drinking lots of coffee. Now, Matt, what I did is you sent me a document, and I made a thing of about 25 slides.
Yeah, it's way too many. No, absolutely not. That's way too many. So I made a slide deck.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So So just to let y'all know,
Wait, did you want to you want to present it from your machine? Is that you're going to do it?
I surely can at some point, but
Okay,
let's do an intro maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks so much
out of here.
Yeah, first, thanks so much for letting me present to you all today. I do appreciate the amazing work that you've been doing through CNPS, and it is an honor to present to you today. The challenge that was given to me as I reduced the glare was to think about how science is communicated now. And there is a glut of science communicators out there. And that means someone could have the NASA window up and just be streaming on Twitch or live streaming on YouTube when they're walking around the space station or doing a suborbital failure from SpaceX or something, or Boeing, pardon me. SpaceX and stuff's actually working. The real challenge that we have is while people report on what somebody else is saying or talk about what somebody else is saying, the Socratic method, when lensed through the problems and challenges that we have in science right now, from the university system to what gets funded as research to how things should be done versus are not being done when it comes to policy, we need a little bit more of a punk rock approach to that. So the challenge with the Dissident Science Network or channel as it is today is it really deserves an upgrade. And we're going to talk about how we're going to start with what we have now. And the challenge was, how do we take what we have now and then turn that into what will naturally evolve into all of the learning experiences to teach us to be a great team and get us to the place to where we can launch the Dissident Science Network, because it's going to be a very natural progression when we kind of shrink wrap those lessons. And sorry to use business terms, but to shrink wrap those lessons that we're going to learn, it's going to create an opportunity for other voices to naturally evolve from those things and other content to evolve from there. So David, I'm going to go ahead and put the glare machine back on and share my screen here. Maybe or not. All right, here we go.
You got it?
I'm trying. All right, so what you should be seeing is the mini slides on the left. We
don't see anything yet. We don't see anything.
Okay.
You have to share? Did you click share?
I did. Maybe the stream is just taking a moment. The StreamYard is sharing a window, so just let me know when that's coming up. Anything yet? Anyone?
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything yet.
All right, so let me just share my whole monitor. And thanks, StreamYard. You're the best.
Yeah, I'm sorry. StreamYard is StreamYard.
That's okay. Let's just share the entire screen. So we should see a nested view now.
Oh, you know what it was? No, you can go ahead and share the way you want it. It was my fault. Go ahead. Sorry about this, folks.
This is why I will be the producer of the show.
I know, exactly.
I'm totally teasing.
Exactly.
I'm totally teasing.
Holy cow. No problem. Exactly. No problem.
Totally teasing. I mean, come on. We've known each other for decades.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. Okay. So it turns out that becomes, and Ian's probably sitting there going, you dummy. I even knew that. I mean,
okay, so now I'm sharing.
Okay, let's see if that works now. Yay. Okay, I'm going to get out of here before I step on.
Fantastic. So there is a full proposal that's been sent to a core team. I'm happy to share that with whoever wants to read it and take it and run with it as a blueprint for how they might want to do their particular channel. But I'll leave that up to Dave and the CNPS team. This was prepared for them. This is the distillation of that and the breakdown of that. Dave, anybody else live on the call, please break in and ask any questions as we proceed. I can no longer see the YouTube chat, so chat, If you're on there, just throw those questions up and we'll have Dave toss them at me. We can always do an AMA.
What I'll do is I'll throw them up if I see them. Okay.
Sure.
I can do that. I'm not totally helpless.
So this is our flagship media property proposal. The slogan that I've come up with is nothing is sacred, everything important is examined. Now, again, that's the network overreach. We are absolutely going to be starting with a focus on physics and astrophysics, planetary physics, right, Dave? Okay.
Yes.
Silence.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. I'll just stay here just in case.
Perfect. So what DNS is, or DSN is, independent scientific scrutiny, evidence-led and intellectually serious. We need it to be accessible, and we don't want to flatten complexity. We don't want to be a Joe Brogan, or we don't want to browbeat people, PhDs, and editorially, we need to be disciplined as well as correctable. We need to be open and flawed. Vulnerable, I think, is the current term. We're not going to do conspiracy content, grievance, or anti-institution theater. Listen, I'm going to say this right now. If we're pissed at you, you've earned it. And we're going to focus like laser beams on you, and we're going to start tearing you apart with this evidence-led intellectual methodology. We're not going to outright do credential rejections, and we definitely aren't going to be an unedited generic podcast. The goal of this is consensus and dissent. They both face the same standard. So why now? What's the opportunity? Well, 58% of people's news and information is consumed via a podcast. 57% of anyone on the internet has actually watched a podcast. And right now there's over 1 billion viewers of podcast content on YouTube alone. So we need the podcast to not just work stylistically, we need it to work in video and audio simultaneously. So we have an existing archive of episodes that Dave has produced already, and we're gonna catalog those, and we're gonna backdate those as actual seasons, and then move into a new seasonal format, which will have its next upgraded look and feel. So that design will definitely be for video, but you will be audio from day one as well. I think it's really, really important. So here's how we take our flagship property and we move it into a network. We're starting with the Dissident Science podcast. As we operate that podcast and go through the seasonal content and we start to have guests on, content will organize itself like complex systems theory, right? Self-organization. As we get through maybe our second season, we will find opportunities to have breakout content. Eventually, you get enough breakout content and breakout talent, it yields a new show. Or one of you in the CNPS comes to us and says, hey, I have an idea for a program. We will have all of our expertise, all of our failures, all of our successes well documented and ready to go. We'll be more than happy to mentor. All it takes is more than one show to have a network. But by starting with the network model and knowing that we need to grow through several phases, we have a bunch of known unknowns. We know there's going to be future stuff that we have to learn, but we don't know when we're going to encounter those unknowns. We just know that we have a goal in sight, and we're going to put a lot of effort towards that. And by starting with an end goal, we can have higher quality faster because we'll be thinking and operating like a system. So a segment can become a format, a contributor, especially a repeat contributor, can become a host, and a show can become a network property. The show has to succeed as a show before the network can behave like a network, you know. What do you think about that, Dave?
Gee, it's a dream come true. What are you talking about? I mean,
yeah, I mean, This is a far cry from us being on the train commuting.
Well, because I've seen
Einstein wrong, but
yeah. I've seen people I followed, and specifically in progressive news area, progressive politics, go from these little shows to like little studios, and they are now like a network. That's the way it works. And there's zero anybody's out there challenging mainstream at all.
Exactly. And when we build that, you already have this community, but when we catalyze the community and we start to activate all of these other social venues that allow people to find their own sub audiences, these shows are going to emerge from there, or at least topics. We will never have anything. We will never have any topic shortage.
We need to get Pink involved so she can go up to the face of people in particle physics and say the Higgs is a joke, and then have them follow around. No, go ahead.
I memean, sure, but I think I just said that we're not going to be doing reaction videos. But
I'm kidding.
The point is, putting these mechanics in and planning for these mechanics early allows us to have that measured professionalism that can then be expected from the other properties that join us on them.
Right. We want to be professional for sure.
Right. So a bit of our audience research right now is obviously we want science curious adults who are 25 to 65, technical thinkers and serious generalists. And
at least half the CNPS out. Sure.
So when Dave started doing this, and we've been talking about this for actually a couple of years now, we need difficult ideas to be legible, but we don't want to dumb it down. There's Veritasium, there's Physics Girl, there's a whole lot of other really high traffic sites that do a good job of generalizing science. PBS Terra does an amazing job about complex weather systems and breaking that down. We don't need to do that. What we're doing is taking the tough subjects nobody wants to talk about or can talk about, and we're dragging it out of the light like a vampire from the basement into the sun. So our sources and our certain uncertainty, we need to make those things visible. And we want real disagreement without tribal theater. Again, we don't want to end up a Joe Brogan of science, where we have this, I don't know why anybody would be anti Neil deGrasse Tyson, but we don't want an us versus them kind of thing. What we're saying is, hey, this one assumption that somebody had made, we checked it out, and it turns out, no, Jell-O is not a lubricant. Why it fits right now is there will be consistent reasoning, logic, academic, scientific-based reasoning everyone can inspect. That's the beauty of science. Corrections and follow-ups that we can trust, and basically a path from viewer to contributor. We want people to, again, to catalyze that environment and then start to think or take action on those things. So we are all going to be united by the appetite and the thirst, but not by agreement. And that's how we can reinstill discourse, communication, open, are you sure about that? So let's talk about some of the vehicles that we're looking at right now, at least for the next season, and categorizing our existing catalog. For audio, the podcast RSS feeds, that's going to look a lot like Spotify. That's going to look a lot like PRX. Anywhere, not PRX, but anywhere we can get that distribution going, SoundCloud, etc. YouTube will have the bulk of our long form video clips. YouTube and Instagram will be the short form clips, sprinkled in with just a little bit of finishing salt-based style on LinkedIn, just to keep all of our guests engaged whenever we have a guest, whenever we have these talks, that cross-pollination and connecting that professionalism to these video events, we're really going to be all about it. Substack for the transcripts and source notes, and then plus, using a lot of the tools that Dave just talked about that he's deployed for CNPS. We'll obviously have wikis and things like that. Well, Substack is phenomenal for us engaging and live interaction. Not for nothing, nobody needs Twitch for customer engagement, and YouTube is a solid close second. I said customer, I do apologize. Community engagement. So, I mean, you're engaging on YouTube right now, live in the feed. So things like Ask Me Anything, things where like I will do open office hours, you know, IRLs, things like that when I'm doing editing. Office hours when I have to do creative or I have to think about stuff when I'm working on the show. So you'll get to basically be live with me on Twitch while I'm working on the network, or I'm working on a particular podcast or any of the busy work. You'll have a way to engage with me there, and I'm pretty silly there. It'll be a place for us to be more human, you know. And if ever we do IRL events or dual streaming, like multiplexing, when we evolve to that point, we'll be live streaming on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. Pardon me for 1 second. So I framed everything in the proposal as like a 100, 200, 300 series of courses, because there's things we need to learn. And as a master mason myself, pardon me 1 second. Now I'm pulling a Dave, and there's no way, by the way, when you're sharing, to mute. Thanks again, Stream Labs.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Oh, great. Well, I'll need to figure that out.
Don't worry about it.
Learning, there's some vulnerability. So our 100 series academic platform, our 100, 101, 102, this is our apprentice level. So the initial pitch is we're going to have our foundation and charter of the next stage of the podcast. We're going to work on design and format flow, and we're going to put together a pilot package. So this is going to be a lot of high frequency, interactive, creative works, things we're going to try out live, stuff we're going to be working on the back scenes. And then we're going to start to produce episodes, typically 2 in a single recording session. And what you're going to want to do to have a successful podcast where we can still live our lives and not go completely crazy, we need to bank a few episodes. I mean, 4 to 5 episodes. They all get edited, they all get queued, and they all get stacked, and then the release calendar happens right on time, because the platform is the one turning it on. YouTube is just flipping a switch, you know, cron job runs, boom, the announcement goes out, and there's our thing. Now, I might do on Twitch something like live watch parties for when the episode launches, so you guys can hit me with AMAs as we watch the episodes released live, yeah, stuff like that. So again, this is a high-level presentation that covers the 37 pages. I reduced that down from 49 of the proposal. So this is going to be our action request to the initial stakeholders. We got to confirm who our stakeholders are, schedule our decision making meetings. You can tell this is where my MBA from the School of Hard Knocks and a lot of my product ownership and project management comes out, because I'm the worst kind of jerk in IT. I am extroverted and I have a business degree. And then we're going to start to look at open questions and move through. There's a bit of a financing component that has to come through with this. It's modest, but hey, someone's going to have to come up with that, and we've got to work through that, because streaming is not free. Producing podcasts is not free. It's very affordable. So thank you for giving me a moment to walk you through these high-level review slides of the Dissident Science Network. The goal of this, ultimately, is to get us to a place where we will have so much legitimacy, and we are in a place of professionalism that we can get syndicated like on a PRX or an NPR network. That's the caliber of people that have already wanted to contribute, and just chatting about the idea of having this, the quality and caliber of output that Dave has already done over the years. We need to turn us into that media network enough that we can add interns, we can do all of those things, learn those lessons, and get to a place to where we can have national distribution. That's the finite 3 to 5 year.
Yeah, I mean, all of this, Matt, of course, is in conjunction with the other people who are here today who will be talking about it, because we're looking at, you know, a wonderful organization that's been around a lot. Now we have the most comprehensive Wikipedia of all this work, and yet we're not growing our audience, and we're not growing our people. So what we're putting this together, having a front and becoming a real science channel, and not only that, it's going to be for you'll see when we talk to Greg Volk, you know, this isn't just, you know, putting out there this new information, this new way of thinking, changing the mindset of people, but hopefully also in the university. I mean, it's really sad. If you go to the university, and universities are fist fighting to go and become R1 and R2 schools just to survive right now and justify their tuitions. So, hey, I'll tell you what, the Dissident Science Network could absolutely facilitate a mini series on your paper and the assertions from your paper, and we could, you know, that could be a channel into itself. Look, my favorite example to use in this case has nothing to do with science. It's Good Mythical Morning was easily the #1 channel on YouTube for the longest time. And one of their spin-off shows, Mythical Kitchen, and in fact, their interview show, got so large, so fast, because of quality and academic neutrality, but just hard work on their stuff. It's overtaken the main channel by 3x. So there is no telling, once we learn how to do this, what the future is going to hold, as long as we build this framework architecture. So thanks again for challenging me. It's been 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks, and I've only put together an entire business plan. So come on. I'm sorry it took that long. I know. We'll forgive you. But before we go, I thought this was an interesting thing. It was because Matt and I have been talking this for a long time. Because Matt is a great personality. For you don't understand, Matt is a great personality. He's very good at humor, the whole thing. So this is going to be good. Always having two people is better. So I'm going to play something I made over a year ago with the idea of what we're talking about. And this is the theme that I see us doing, and I came up with a catch theme. And whenever I tell anybody, when I was talking with the group about funding this, we're going to be talking with Greg Volk, Dr. John Reed. I'm not sure if he'll be here, but with him also, when I mentioned what the theme was, they just all laugh. So let's take a look at a minute video that I have for the Dissident Science channel, which I've done no videos for quite a while, but it has over 5,000 people. Let's take a look at it. This gives you a flavor of kind of where we're going to come from. And I think you'll enjoy this. So it's about a minute. You know about all that crazy stuff you hear about modern science? Well, I spent the last 30 years digging deep into the question, why does science seem so messed up? You know what I found? Scientists aren't stupid. Their theories are. But what's really cool, I found out things that will blow your mind and make you love science again, maybe for the first time in your life. How do I know this? Because all the people who know about my science journey during the last 30 years love talking with me, because I actually have answers to the questions and give them new ideas that really make them think. I can do the same for you. I'm Dissident Dave, and I'm here to make you love science again. I'm going to pull the curtain back on this crazy science to show you the smoke and mirrors and point you in real directions of amazing people who are on the forefront of physics and cosmology. It's not some new age stuff. This is real physics you can see and feel in your gut. Join me. You won't be disappointed. So
I mean, complete with a Hollywood explosion sound effect.
I got
It's
that from way
fantastic.
back. Somebody had one of those channels where you could, I think it was something forest,
Yeah.
theme forest or something like that. So, but anyways, that gives everybody an idea of the kind of thing that we're in the direction. And like Matt said, some of the questions that we were getting in the comments were, wait, is this going to be a one-man show or two-man show? Why don't you answer that, Matt?
So similar to Conan Needs a Friend, similar to other popular podcasts, where I will be on air producing the plucky comic relief, if you will, and Dave will be the primary on-air talent. However, we have plenty of opportunities for interviews, guests, recurring segments, things like that are already going to be baked in. I don't want to give too much away. We have a lot of homework to do and some decisions and some funding that needs to happen first. Mm-hmm. But this is basically us announcing not just our intention, but the work that's already underway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate you getting up
Thank you.
early in the morning at what time?
Well, I was already up. It's an old man disease.
You're not that old. Come on. I'm older.
55. All right. I can at least move into senior living now.
Well, I want to thank you very much. I think we even have things like what is it? We have, here we go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. And let's get you out of here.
Right? Sort of. I have to go, Magneto, but just to answer your question, I will be on camera at times and producing live in real time.
Yeah. And thank you so much. So you can see that is just super amazing. This is where the real world exists. A lot of people ask, well, where's the CNPS filling into this? Well, the problem is the CNPS, as we're going right now, went from 1,100 people in our email list down to going literally down 5 or more emails a week. And that is our audience that we send out to. We can't be that anymore. None of us necessarily have the ability to go out and get more people. So what do we need to do? We need to bump up into the model world. If we make ourselves into this podcast, into this studio-like situation, imagine going on, the show and seeing like a regular place and people sitting down and a real science show based on the ability to say, yes, I want to do my PhD with an ether model. Yes, I want to do my PhD with expanding Earth. I want to show that. Yes, I want to show how black holes, the mathematics is all screwed up. Can't do that now. So the idea is we want to create this, and the community, instead of us having memberships and all that, will become the Patreons of that channel. So we'll get lots more people than the people that we have here today. The people that we have here today and talk on Saturday mornings are the scientists we're pointing to. That's the thing. The CNPS, well, we're going to talk about that as well, about the organization itself, and that's with Greg. But that's the idea. The idea isn't that like, oh, Dave's taking over and he's going to be a one-man show. No, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. But I do have the ability to communicate, be excited. I've always been an exciting, this is me not on drugs, but regardless, I have that ability. So let's use it to get these people, to talk to people. I'm one of those people who listen. I'm fascinated by somebody's new idea. And I have been spending the last couple decades talking to myself about when people ask me, what do you mean this? What do you mean Einstein's wrong? How do you answer those things? What are the way you talk to these people? And when I go to today, we're having people over, and I have a friend. The moment he walks right to me, he starts asking me science questions because I've been around you folks. I've been around us to be able to answer with real answers, and that's the kind of thing we want to bring to it. So I believe we have Greg Volk. Hopefully he's still around, and I'll tell you. Let me get Greg Volk his background here. I do have a slide for him. And so, yeah, he's an electrical engineer, an entrepreneur, and independent researcher in fundamental physics. He went to Stanford from 1979 to 1984. That's a slightly good school, electrical engineering, alongside the entire core undergrad physics curriculum. He was the president of the MPA. He's a vice president of the CNPS because, vice presidents don't have to do anything. So he's good at that too. No, I'm kidding. I know widely for his circulated catalog of unexplained assumptions in modern physics, and works on the Mach's principle in matter-based and the Toyota ring models in matter. Made a majority of the entries in the natural philosopher database. And he's been doing work since then, and probably has the biggest collection of real paper of dissident work sitting in somewhere. I have no idea actually where. So let me bring him up here. And great dear friend. It's just we're back again.
Yes, we are. It's amazing. I apologize for this wonky looking camera. But
no, this is great. I love your background. Are you kidding?
I don't know if, let me just, you mentioned books. This is a sampling of some of my physics books back here. You can't even see most of it there. I don't know. It gives you an idea. This room is, there's a lot of books in here that are one of a kind, or if they're not one of a kind, you're not going to get them even at, some book place. They're the kind of books that cost $300 if you want to get it at Amazon.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They're not available.
Yep.
So I have a lot of books like that, and I have I got boxes and boxes of stuff from Francisco Mueller several years ago of the original materials by John Chappell, who founded the NPA. And I have scanned a lot of that material, and a lot of it still has yet to be uploaded into the database. So
into the wiki now. That's where it's
into the wiki, yeah. So we'll talk about that. Did you want me to just go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to leave here and let me get out of here.
I don't have any slides, but I got a lot I can talk about. And Jesus, camera's terrible. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, first of all, I want to extend an apology to those of you who've been around for a while. I started, I think it was 2008 or 9 that we started doing this weekly Saturday thing, and it was sort of my brainchild to do that. And we just began, and it's been kept going all these years. I stepped away in about 2013, 2014, and Franklin Hu stepped in. And so thank you. I don't know if Franklin's here today, but thank you for the work that you've done. And more recently, Ian Coward has been able to step in and just keep this thing going. And I'm also really grateful to David for keeping the organization going. We had some kerfuffles that happened around 2013, unfortunately, where just some confusion about the organization that took place. And oddly enough, it had to do with the website, which even then was something of value. And I don't want to go into all the details of it, but I stepped away in part because of that, in part because I needed a break, in part because my kids were demanding more of my time. And a lot of those things have changed. So in the last few years, I have I've gotten back into this big time. So I took maybe a 10-year hiatus. I was never totally out. I was always interested in some things, but in the last couple of years, because of AI and because of some other things, I've gone from having several dozen unfinished papers to having several hundred now. So, and the problem I have is it just, everything leads to another, and I've got this thing that I'm working on that relates to that, and this is connected to that. But so hopefully some of you can relate to some of that difficulty. I don't know if I'm supposed to answer some of these chats. James Keene is here. James, it's been a long time. I remember you from before. What is dissident science? That's a good question. And I don't know that my answer is going to be the definitive one. David said that this website is going to be the premier place worldwide for alternative science or dissident science. And I would like to put a little bit of a caveat on that, and that is, or caveat, I don't know, that is it's physical science. So there are other things that are science that aren't necessarily covered by our website. That would include psychology and probably biological things, medicine, things like that. They're important. They're just not what we're focused on. We're focused on the whoever said that. Thank you. It is good to be back. So that there is a distinction, and there are some places where do we draw the line? One would be chemistry. So chemistry is certainly physical science, but it's not like at the level of fundamentals. We have to get into the periodic table, and we're definitely interested in how do you build the periodic table. So that's an area that we haven't really covered. I don't know that there's a lot of room for alternative other than perhaps cold fusion, which is maybe alternative science and chemistry. But anyway, to answer James's question, I would say dissident science, anybody who dissents from the consensus view in mainstream in one form or another. You can dissent with one idea and agree with another, and that happens. We've seen it all over the place. Dissidents, as you know, don't agree with each other. So anybody who disagrees with the consensus view on anything related to physical science, I would say is a dissident scientist looking for alternatives. And so we want to be open to that. And that brings up a point on the website. I want to encourage all of you or anybody watching this to spend time on the website, dig through this material. David's mentioned all these edits that have been done. And because Claude has done them, I know David hasn't had time to read every single word that Claude has put out, and we probably need to do that. Now, there's two levels of questions we need to answer. One is what Claude has said, is the content on there accurately reflecting what was originally put out there? You know, if person X said this and this and this, then the question is, did person X actually say those things? Is that a good summary of what he actually meant? And then there's a second question is, do you agree with that? That's a totally separate question. And there is space on the website, I believe, David, for conversations about, I think he's right here, but I don't like this, and blah, blah, blah. And we want to encourage both kinds of things. We want the first type, which is the content accurate? That is something that needs to be directed to David and the editors of the website. We want to make sure that the content that's on the website is accurate. And also, I just want to say that the work that David and I started 20 some years ago, it's bearing fruit now, it feels like, and that's really exciting. It was always my intention, my heart, from the beginning, that there's so many people who have come and gone. Many of them are no longer with us, who have contributed in a way, and they maybe wrote a couple of books. They might have written several papers, and then nobody followed through with it. Nobody ever sent any money to anything with all of this stuff. So it's easy for that stuff to get lost. And I said, well, what do we do to make sure that all this wonderful stuff, and this not just since I've been around, but I mean, going back to 100 years ago, there's material from the 20s and 30s that I would call dissident, according to the definition that I gave before. I'm looking at the chat here. How about the SAM model? Yeah, I mean, well, the SAM model is a good example of a model that is dissonant. And it's one that has a lot of good features, and one that I have studied, and one that I would encourage others to study. It's got pluses and minuses, just like all models do. Karen's putting all kinds of things in here. Dale Pond just did a site with 19,000 records. Well, that's the next point that we want to make. Dale Pond is a good example of what we're about. We are not in the least interested in taking credit for Dale Pond's work. We want to elevate Dale Pond's work, and not just Dale Pond, but there are many, many others who have contributed in ways beyond just writing papers and books themselves, but they have organized material of others. And Dale Pond is a real good example of that. We want to be able to catalog all of the things that are on his website and point to his website, or copy the things from there, always with attribution. And so that's the goal, so that they could come to our site and find all the things that Dale Pond has cataloged, plus all the things from other sources as well. So that's the goal, is we want to catalog all of that. Another example is John Reed, who we've met with recently, who is going to be, who has several 100,000 articles and items that need to be cataloged and uploaded. Not all of them necessarily, and I don't know about Dale Pond's work, but maybe not all of them would fit the description. Where do we draw the line? Another area is noetic sciences. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about consciousness and things like that, but there are certainly, the question is, do we include that or do we not include that? My vote would be, yeah, we do include that, as long as it meets the description that we talked about earlier. Karen corrected me, 250,000. So yeah, it's a huge number. Another area would be there was a website that was developed years ago by a man named Sterling Allen, who unfortunately is now in prison, but his website is called PezWiki, and it has a lot of stuff on inventions and areas of new energy. I like to call it open energy, as opposed to free energy, which means that we're looking for systems which are open to the environment and inviting participation from the environment to, in some way, perhaps multiply the efforts, get over unity, things like that. I don't want to get too far down the road, other than to say that PezWiki site documents all of this kind of stuff. And we want to incorporate and revive all of that work, that hard work that Sterling Allen put in decades ago. Another example would be Walter Babin, who has cataloged a lot of material that some of it's an overlap with what we have in the current Wikipedia. By the way, we want to call it the NPW, the Natural Philosophy Wiki, which I'll get to that in a little bit. We're going to have the NP, all sorts of other things would be the goal in this. And yes, Karen mentioned Rex Research. I was getting to that. Rex Research is another one. Now that's still active. And Donald Nelson, I believe is his name. And he's getting to be in his upper 70s. And the time is coming when we need to think about what's going to happen when he's gone. How do we preserve all of that? And we want to give total attribution to everything that he's done in order to, extend all this information, make it available, but also take it a step further. So that's the goal of the project. There's others. There was a man named Hal Fox that I spoke with 15 years ago. He passed away around 2012, I guess. And he kept telling me, I got all this stuff in my basement, and it's one of these days I'm going to get down there and get it all to you. And then he passed away, and we never got all that stuff. And we know of other repositories of stuff that are all over the place, and it is our goal to try to accumulate as much of this as possible and make it all available. And we'd like this, the NPW, to be the first place one would go to find all this kind of information. And it's not, all of this stuff is sort of built in organically, as how else would it build? I mean, this is what people see the need, and they fill it. And there's a lot of self-starters among us. So, and I'm one of them. And I have to be honest, I heard Matt talking about this proposal he put out. I didn't know that was coming. So that's pretty cool. That's like, there's a whole nother area that we need to try to target. What Matt may not be aware is that I've got my sort of a vision about how this might go. Karen Elkins is on board, and she's got her visions of what we want to try to fund, and all these different kinds of organizations. So I'm saying that we need to just combine our efforts. Not that we want to restrict anyone. We want to encourage self-starters because that's what we all are. But at the same time, we don't want to be stepping over each other and interfering with each other and confusing the outside world. So that's part of the goal too. So James Keene says the goal is to accumulate stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. We want to be the best, the biggest stuff accumulator there is. And that would include not only things in the US, but things all over the world. We know very well that research in things like cold fusion and some of these other sciences are being funded by governments in places like Russia and Japan and India. And we've had some of those people speak on our shows before. And so we're grateful for that kind of stuff, but we want to incorporate that into this. This is a world science database. That's what we used to call it. But I like the NP Wiki. And let me give you my vision, at least on that, why I like the name NP Wiki. First of all, we have the site. David had the foresight to get naturalphilosophy.org some, I guess, 15 years ago or so. And that's, I think, the best description of what we're all about. Natural philosophy is larger than just science. It is inquiry into what makes the world work. And I think it invites openness to the larger worldview, which is what we're about. We're not trying to say, don't accept this view, accept this one. At the same time, we're all human beings and we all have our own perspective. So I think the world works this way or this way. And I'm convinced in my own mind that what I think is correct, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to step on your ability to express your point of view. And that's a different mindset than what the conventional mindset usually is. What I think we have going for us now that we didn't maybe 10 years ago is there's a lot of people. Karen is one of them. And now Matt is one of them. David is one. I'm working on some projects myself where we're trying to get funding. We're trying to get outside help to get some of these things going. It seems like the world is more ready today for alternative views on things. So a lot of things are aligning. Let's just put it that way, to make this possible. The AI technology that David has gone on about is fantastic. We have that. We also have the internet, which is developed quite a bit more than it had even 10 years ago, where you could put together a channel, and we did, but we didn't really market it very well. And we now have resources and people willing and able to start doing that. The other goal that I have is to reach younger people. I mentioned specifically a lot of the people that have been working on this stuff are getting older. I'm 65. I still got another 20 years in me. So does David, I think. So that's my goal. My best years are ahead of me as far as this stuff. This is going to be my life for the next 20 years. So anyway, that's the goal. Let's talk about, I'm sorry for rambling around. I talk a little bit about my vision of what this can become. As many of you know, the NPA, the Natural Philosophy Alliance, does no longer exist as an organization. After it got taken over, kind of a hostile takeover by some other people, they ran it into the ground. They spent our money. We had about 20,000 accumulated, and now that's gone. And that's been defunct now for at least a dozen years. And there you go. I haven't heard a word from those people. I don't know much about them, but it is what it is. Then David formed the Chappelle Natural Philosophy Society, the CNPS, which is what we still have today. And the truth is that from a legal standpoint, that was let go in 2020. And so there's no longer an organization, a structure. And we need to form a new one. The reason is we want to be able to attract donors. So the question comes to mind, what should we name the new thing? And I kind of like having several organizations all starting with NP. So the name that was proposed, and I don't know if it's okay for me to talk about this, David, but one name that was proposed, can I go ahead? Okay, good. All right, was the NPI, which is the Natural Philosophy Institute. And I kind of like that name. It's got a nice ring to it. It rolls off the tongue like the NPA.
Look, a logo in the corner.
There we go. Yeah. So, I'm not, we're going to move on it pretty quickly. The goal, I think, is I'm going to set up a corporation here in Minnesota where I live and call it the NPI. And we will go ahead and get 501c3 status with it, which will take some time and doing and all that. But that's the plan. And that'll be like the umbrella organization. Then the NPW is the Natural Philosophy Wiki, the thing that David spent all this time talking about. And that will be the primary resource that'll be the first place to go to research anything having to do with any of these topics. But in addition to that, we've got several other things that could fall under it, and they'll all have NP something. So here's my list. And again, this is open to debate and suggestion. This is not a one-man show. And if everybody likes this, then we'll move ahead with it. But this is my thoughts anyway. We'd like to have NPU, which is online courses. The only downside to that is PU sounds like it smells, but what I like the NP University idea, and that would be the place to do that. Now, what Matt was talking about was a little bit like NPU. I don't know what NPU actually is going to be. I'll come back a little bit later to my own idea. I'm thinking about putting together a channel of highly edited, high production value videos, kind of like a Mathologer or what was some of the other channels that were mentioned. Three Blue, One Brown's another example. And I want to be able to present my own work, but also the work of other people in the NPA and at Tesla Tech and some of these other places that they just don't have the ability to put together really high production value videos. So that's what I'm working on. I'm looking at, my goal is to have maybe a dozen videos in the can and a website and the whole thing, all the structure put into place, all my papers and a couple of books that I'm writing, all of that in place when I launch maybe a year from now. That's what I'm looking at doing. I'm very excited about it. I got so much material. I got over 100 videos worth of material, all original material. And I'll be doing things like Don Burdell's work. I'll be talking about Carl Littman's circles. I'll be talking about, obviously, Common Sense Science, Bill Lucas, and some of the things like he does. A lot of my own stuff. I'll be talking about Marco Rodin's things. I'll be talking about Terrence Howard's stuff. A lot of stuff. Charlie Zeiss is another one. Anyway, that's my goal with this channel, to be doing that. I'm thinking that could be part of NPU. And maybe what Matt's doing could be part of that too. Like I said, I don't want to rein in anybody. I just want to hopefully coordinate our efforts so that we're not going off in 16 different directions and operating futilely. But anyway, hats off to Matt. I really like him, David. I hadn't met him before, and I still haven't met him, but it sounds like he's going to be awesome.
Well, one of the things I could say here, Greg, is that what we have is a person like Matt who knows how to get us to the place to have a channel, right, so that you would have your own part of that. I mean, why do we need to duplicate that? Anything that you need to do, one of the things he said is like, oh, we've got, Fridays or Thursdays or Tuesdays, Greg Volk, and he talks about this. And
right,
it's going to be, the way I look at it is it can become a science network. You have the Discovery Channel, stuff like that.
Sure.
I mean, it sounds bizarre, but no one's doing that. The idea that you can't go to a university and challenge mainstream with real legitimate stuff. I mean, this is, and the other thing too is you and I know this, we are at a time where people are questioning everything. I mean, sure, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, right, nobody believes anything anybody's saying anymore. And so the time is really right where people are not going to say, oh, these guys, what are you talking about? I mean, right,
that was 25 years ago. That's not today.
not today. So I think the idea there is what we need to do is look at who's good at funding, you're getting, for instance, one of the things you were talking about was getting the nonprofit. Why do we do that? Why do we need to do that?
So we can get funders.
So we can get funding.
Yeah.
We have Matt's going to has a proposal. It's not that much. And John Reed says he knows some people that,
Yep.
that would look. So we all have to find where that is, because we can't do it all anyways.
Right.
I mean,
no, there's no more one-man shows. That's not going to happen. So anybody that's worried about that, I don't want to run a one-man show, and neither does David.
No.
We're trying to. In fact, that's part of my dream. I do have I'm trying to get funding for a couple of guys. Kian is not here today because he's busy with Tesla Tech. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to be able to get funding for him so that he can be an assistant for me with making these videos, and also help with the website, help David. And then I would like to bring on a couple of other people. John Arthur Fiala is another one. And if we can build a team of these kinds of people, I want funding for that. So that'll be part of what we're doing. We just need to work together, Matt.
Right, exactly. And one of the things we need to do is get Matt funded. It's not that much. It really isn't.
Yep.
And the thing is the good thing is what we're doing with Matt and this idea of this dissident kind of channel, or just this news channel, science news channel, and talking with people. Everybody we've been doing on Saturday morning, of course, are fair game. But the thing is, the way it works, and I've seen this over and over again in the last 15, even 20 years, people had these little sites doing something very unique, and eventually getting themselves that they have a Patreon community. If you have, our goal is to get at least 1 million people in about a year, 2 years. If we have that, you have a Patreon, and that Patreon pays to keep you going. So it's not that you'll even need funding after a while. It's the seed funding. And once we get that kind of community going, you then have that network literally funded by the people who want to see it. They don't want to go and see Neil deGrasse Tyson defending the Higgs boson one more time, or 11 dimensions, or that, hey, there's a particle here that instantaneously knows something about the particle. People are just tired of that. Yes. So the idea is, if we can fund Matt with this, we have to have the 501(c)(3), and then we have people like John who can get us pretty modest funding. And if we can start this little machine, that machine itself will pay for itself. And that's the idea. So I think, and you're right, let's not repeat stuff. So I'm out of here.
You're good. Okay. Well, anyway, to continue my thought, we talked about NPI, Natural Philosophy Institute, and NPW, the Wiki, and NPU online courses in some form or another. It could incorporate several channels. Another one would be the NPP, which would be the publishing arm. So we're already publishing a bunch of our own stuff on our own. We can do that with literally anybody who says, hey, I got this book. I want it not only published, self-published, but I want help with promoting it and all of that. So yes, we can have NPP books can be available on Amazon and other places. And you can have it on your own website, but it can be published by NPP. Again, the goal of NPP is not to make this, we're not trying to make money or anything like that. We're just trying to make it more available. The whole idea that we can just make it easier for dissident or alternative scientists to do their work and not have to focus on these other things. So NPP would play that role. And then another would be the NPM, which would be the Natural Philosophy Museum. Now, Karen Elkins already has a vision for her idea for a museum, and it may or may not be the same thing. But one of the things that we have done in the past, David, is we've had these science fair kind of things after our conferences. We used to do that years ago. Some of you may remember. And wouldn't it be cool if we had like a permanent displays of all of that kind of stuff, plus the kinds of things that Karen is talking about? I don't know. Where would we locate it? That's something in the future. But
Karen is here. I believe Karen's. I think Karen's here. Would she?
Yes, Karen is here, and Karen's probably jumping up and down, thinking, "Well, that's not it." So I don't mean to step on your toes, Karen, and I don't mean to work against you. I was just thinking NPM would be a cool name for that, because it would sort of tie everything together.
Well, she's
And,
there if you want to bring her up.
Yeah, we can. I didn't want to, Karen, if you want to come on, I don't
You want to
have
put
a problem
you
with
want to put
that.
a thumbs up if you want to come up, Karen? Okay,
And
she
if
did.
not, I will.
She
I
is.
just wanted to go through my list of the NPXs. But if it's up to her. If she's okay with hanging back, I'll just go on. I wanted to say the next would be the NPR, which would be the Natural Philosophy Repository.
Oh, wait a minute. She's just muted. Hey, can you unmute yourself, Karen?
Okay.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, go ahead, Karen. This is all impromptu, and I don't mean to step on your toes or change your plans or anything. I'm just thinking out loud.
You're just putting your ideas out right now, and I think that's where it's at. So that's all good. So you want to finish your thought, and then.
Yeah, well, sure. I have. There was two other ideas that I wanted to talk about. The NPR would be a natural philosophy repository. That'd be the library, a physical library where we house all these books and all these papers and things like John Reed has and whatever. We have to have a physical location where we have it. I don't know where that would be. That's just my thought as to a name for it. And then the last two would be the NPF, which would be the Natural Philosophy Foundation, which would be a grant funding facility. So we would actually, that organization would be in charge of, or not in charge of, but it would be responsible for trying to get funding for all these different projects. So, and then also eventually we would find funding for universities, students who want to do work in these areas, and we would help them find funding. That'd be the NPF. Now, I founded an organization called the ISF back in 2012, and I gave it to the folks in the electric universe, and it's still there. They've used it to fund the research, like for Monty Childs on his Sapphire project and a few other things. That was my organization that I founded back then. I don't know if we could bring that one back and give it a new name. That was just my thought, or start a new one. We might as well not reinvent the wheel, but we kind of have that in place. But I was thinking of a little bit broader than perspective than what they're using it for now. It could, all these funding efforts, Karen's one of them, and now Matt and David and others, we could be working together through the NPF. That was my thought. And then what was the last one? There was one more, and I lost it. I think I threw it away. But anyway, Karen, why don't you go ahead and give your thoughts on those? There was one other one. I just don't remember what it was. But NPX was the idea. The reason I like that is because anybody that gets confused, like, which one were that, they'll just say, oh, it's the NPI, those guys. It's all that NP stuff. It'd just be easy to remember.
Actually, you're just doing subdivisions of the one, which is actually a cohesive idea, which I think makes a lot of sense. So I don't have any.
What I was thinking. So that was just my brainchild. But Karen, you go ahead. I know you had some thoughts of your own.
No, my only one question that first comes up is you guys are looking at science, where I'm still looking at somebody like Steve Ross's museum, who's got already 4,000 books, which covers everything from Pythagoras to Denshaw to all those things.
4,000 a long time ago.
No, but those are the ones actually that he has in a PDF form that could be. But it's some of the critical ones. And then you got the Reed, and when I was at Tesla Tech, I see that Dale Pond has done his stuff. So he's focused more on Keeley and Russell and those kinds of things. Right. So my question is, does that fit under your umbrella?
I think so. I would say inventions and anything having to do with alternative ideas in energy and developing products to do that, I would say yes. Okay, so that would be applied. But I'd say, when we're talking about, like I said, where do we draw the line? We're like noetic sciences. I would say yes, but maybe others would say no. In chemistry, I would say yes, but maybe others would say no. That's where I would kind of think about drawing the lines. Okay, but so David, what's your take on that?
Can I do one thought before? Sure. Let me think. The reason I think in some of the ways, the problem is we too often compartmentalize. And when we actually look at the science of what I called the Science of Life Museum is what I did, because it is the science of life. We chemistry, color, sound, frequency all comes from the spectrum. And so when we start dividing and conquering, then what we do is we don't see the interdisciplinary problem. I mean, and I think you're creating another thing and you're just focusing on a sector. And
but like medicine is a good example. Medicine and biology, we haven't really touched those areas, and I've kind of been reluctant to go there. To me, that's on the other side of the line. But
And so to me, that is exactly where somebody like Steve Ross's library comes in. He's bringing in Denshaw, he's bringing in Rife, he's bringing in those kinds of things.
Right.
And those actually fit in to the science of life.
Sure.
And when you actually take them away, then what is chemistry? Chemistry's got color. I mean, crystallization has color.
Fair.
Frequency. I mean, so you see what I'm saying? And so to me, they all still belong into the concept of a science of life. Now, how that fits in, because when I did, and I'm not going to just say, because it's not done yet. So I had something called the One Hub, and the hub put everything under an umbrella, and everybody got their part. I don't mind the natural philosophy. That's fine. I think that I kind of like the NPI, the NPX, the NP, whatever. I hold the other ones just because it was my original thought to put people under hub, identifying everybody for exactly what they did. So the idea of actually having a physical library, I totally agree with you.
I think the way I would see it, because I like you, all of you, look and go beyond. For instance, I'll give you an example, a really good example of something that doesn't kind of fit, but I've had him on numbers of times, is Dennis McCarthy. Dennis McCarthy is in The Expanding Earth, has some great things about how one flora and fauna couldn't go across the ocean. The only way is to have that guy. He also is, in my opinion, the most important Bard Shakespearean researcher that's ever lived, because he has shown all this stuff using Google that Thomas North was actually the real impetus and how do you see writer of the Shakespearean plays. And if you look at his data, it's just shockingly there. Where does that fit in? I mean, this is a person who, can answer all the questions of the Bard, and those people don't want to know about it. To me, what it does, it fits into this bigger picture, which is there are people trying to find truth.
Yeah.
And they don't know. They're screaming it at the top of their lungs. Like this guy, like Dennis McCarthy, he should be giving lectures in every English department on planet Earth, because he's got stuff that's real, with real fundamental research that you can show. And it turns out that Shakespeare was only like Weinstein in Hollywood. He was a great producer. He just stole the stuff, made it a little bit more thing, and did it. That makes much more sense than this guy, et cetera. But where does he fit in? The idea then is we can put people who are not necessarily in a place. For instance, we'd have the MPX. The MPX could be everybody else. We don't know. We don't have, your section is not big enough yet, but eventually it could grow.
David, wouldn't that just be like earth sciences? And then you can put in the earth sciences. Couldn't you put in something like biomimicry? Because biomimicry is a really valid thing these days.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think we have to go with what Matt is talking about, because if you look at it, let's look at what we're talking about today. We have the ability to take what the Dissident Science channel, which is just a way to get in to become a network. And that network, like he says, you can't predict where it's going to go. You don't know which one of these things that we put out there, that the thing will explode and go on its own. And that's the way we need to do it. I think what we have to do is not say that this can't belong, but keep it in the X, maybe in that X box. oh my God.
You also have a lot of young, but maybe think about, being a network. You have a lot of people. So I was just at Tesla Tech, interviewing all the interviewing and helping Vernon and stuff. So here's the question was, there's a lot of young podcasters that are showing up in places. No reason they can't go under your umbrella. Which actually
absolutely.
They don't know anything about us. They have no idea who we are.
No, and that's okay, but that's a way where we start having conversations.
Sure.
Right. And that's where their audience brings more to you, and vice versa. And that's where the collaboration, I think, where things begin to have a more generous sort of something.
No, I agree. And I think if we look, step back from what all of today is doing, we have now a world class, the most important and biggest Wikipedia for dissident work. And we still have a ton to put in there. If you go, and because of Claude, we've been able to take things, Greg, all these little things. I literally did this one book that I showed everybody the page that, remember, it was just empty. Claude's already filled it. I mean, I can show you that now. And what we've had is, we're sitting on the encyclopedia of all this kind of work outside of the mainstream. We say physics and all that, but it doesn't mean that it can't grow. And
Yeah,
so
here, David, here's my question. As of late, Claude has not been great. I've been using Claude because Paul recommended it. It was doing great. And in the last couple,
what version do you have?
I buy the $20 one.
I'm on the $200 one. And I will tell you, the difference is humongous.
Okay.
And you have to remember, I know I've been in natural language processing way before large language models. I know what they're good for. And these models do that top level model is doing great. I've been reading and reading and reading. So no, I don't. In fact, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. The $200 model has corrected some of the math it's found in our web pages.
Nice.
Okay, good.
So,
all right.
You guys can be confident in that. But what I'm saying is, we have the place where you can look up these large language models are. You know what the number one crawling is? They are crawling these things, incessantly. We've got China crawling us. We've got bunches of companies here crawling us. I had a person already in the last 34 days come up and he says, "Oh, you've got all this new stuff on it, but I can't be on it because I'm in this position." He already saw stuff that wasn't there before. So we're good on that. But what I'm saying is that we can use this model of, let's use this MPI, everything's under it. Let's use this network that Matt's trying to build to be literally our, how do you say, news network to the world.
Can I offer a perspective? And by the way, Matt just put something in the chat a few minutes ago, and I think he's right. He said, starting with a foci, you can build a core function set. First, you open yourselves up with a mastery of a domain first, and then expand. In other words, Karen, we have already, I think we're pretty dominant in the area of alternative physics outside the mainstream physics, in physical sciences. We're not as strong in these other areas. And I think we need to focus on the areas that we're already strong in and get like really the best there is. And then when we get to that point, then we can say, all right, now let's add biology and medical science to this same umbrella, rather than try to do everything all at once. And it isn't that we don't want to do it or it isn't valuable. That's not the point. The point is, we don't want to stretch ourselves so thin that we end up doing a crappy job. That's all.
No, and I'm going to say I'm ignorant, so I don't know what it takes. So my apologies on that. So I mean, I really am.
No,
I mean, you just dump them in.
We're all ignorant. It just depends on what we're talking about.
I mean, we just put them in and they go into their own categories. You have to label each one. How do you do that? Because I can see what you'd say, let me just do mine. And I'd say, can we just dump them in and it goes to the files? And that could be completely stupid on my part.
What are you asking? I'm not sure.
When you add things to the wiki, does everything go in one?
No. What happens is the wiki is closed. That means we don't have consensus happening there, right? So what we have is reporting. So there's a button there that says suggest content. Let me give you some real examples. The first thing that sent this off the way, and this happened without me even thinking about it. I was using Claude to do programming, things that I like, having a team of 5 people that I could never have. Right. And so I said, hey, I can log into the server. Hey, Claude knows everything about Wikimedia. Hey, Claude, go to the Andrew Assis page. Go do some research on the internet and see what you can do. It more than doubled his page. And then I started doing it more and more. Then what happened is I said, hey, Andre Assis, look at your page now. He goes, holy cow. He sends me emails. You know what I do? I take the email, paste it into Claude and said, hey, Andre said this, go do some of it. He goes, finds it. And he goes, oh, I found the paper. I put it in here. I summed it. Now I put it in here and I've indexed it everywhere. So that's hopefully Claude will not go under. I think it's one of the few AI companies that may stay around. And then, so what it means is, if you have something, if any of you are listening now and you have a paper, I've had another person, a guy from Africa who saw it, who I've never seen before. He said, I'm not a researcher. He's now with his whole biography, his paper summarized, links to it. So people can send it to me. I will then let Claude deal with it. I literally let Claude say, hey, write the response to Andre. He writes the response, tells it everything he does. Andre comes back.
Okay. Is it easy then or not to add, Dale Pond stuff? This is what he had at the thing.
I think we can work on it.
Yeah,
David?
absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things we can do with Kian. Kian. Yeah, we can talk with him, because if he has the $200 level per month Claude, he can be the guy, telling Claude to get these things. Because let me tell you what Claude does that we don't do. When you put in a paper, and we now have, Claude has indexed everything. If you are on a list somewhere, someone has to go to all the places to do that, all the links, all the places that are relevant, and change it. Claude does that already.
Okay, but if he already has a Claude model Dale Pond, does that easily put it into yours? That's what I mean.
Absolutely. Yeah, just send it to me.
Really
Sure.
It would easily integrate.
Yes, absolutely.
And with full accreditation, just to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, by the way, I just point out, John Reed mentioned in a meeting we had a week or so ago that Dale Pond's name in particular came up because Dale has authored some 20 books, I guess.
Yeah, and he's got a library as well.
Right. So, and Dale, he suggested that we could, if we could sell his books on our site, then, we keep 50%, we send 50% to him, and he'd be fine with that. And we could offer that with everybody, anybody who has something to publish that, if we as a website offer that, that'd be part of the NPP's role, would be to, whatever the sale of books that we do right directly from our website. Obviously, you keep more of it if you do it yourself instead of Amazon, but we could do both and still
you don't make any money.
Offer a deal like that with all of our authors. Because let's be honest, nobody's ever getting rich selling dissident science books.
Absolutely.
But why not? What we're about is
we can do it.
We can do it. Promoting the ideas than in making money. That's the point.
We can do it, Greg, because what I'll do is, because I can write the code, I just have Claude says, Claude, let's gin up something that will allow us to do that kind of thing. And so that every page that comes up, you'll have something there. And we just say everything goes to the foundation. The foundation can give a part back to the person, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. So the question, should I connect you with Dale Pond?
Well, I'm already connected with him, but yeah, I mean, I should have David. Yeah, why don't you give Dale?
Yeah, what happens? What'll happen is,
David.
Yeah, is Kian already doing stuff?
I think so. Well, Kian was at the conference. The Tesla Tech conference was last week, by the way.
Well, then one of the things what I would suggest, it would be Karen, is what we can do is basically have Kian.
I don't work with him. We've already have issues and it doesn't work for me.
Okay, so you can work directly with me. I'm an easy guy.
Okay.
And I do it fast, so.
Good. I like that.
Everybody here's a doer.
Walk fast, so that's what I like. Fast is good.
You say something, this should be done. Next thing you know, David did it.
Good. I like that. So I will.
Karen, you're the same way.
By the time you talk to me, told me the idea, I've already done it and moved on to 3 other things. So there you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
So yeah, we're all that way.
Okay.
It isn't that we're a one-man show. It's just everybody's wants to be involved in something. Oh, by the way, I forgot the last one. I mentioned NPF funding research. The last one I thought of is NPV, which is Natural Philosophy Ventures. And that would be for potentially investments. So anybody who is an inventor who wants to work through an organization, again, it's not like we're trying to get in the way of inventors raising capital. We're trying to help raise capital, but through a structure, they can use NPV, Natural Philosophy Ventures, to hopefully get some funding. That was just a thought, just a brainstorm.
Okay, what I'm going to do now is we're going to fall out a little bit here. Karen, thank you so much for your input, and we'll be in contact about Mr. Poole. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And Greg, what I'm going to do is I'd like to bring up some people. I don't know. We have some people in the green room because we have Ian and all these other people, and they're either screaming and saying already running away and forming their own group.
I hope they're not too upset.
Or they're seeing that there is a vision here, and that I think the most important thing is Greg is the same way. He and I have absolutely the same wavelength. Everything that has been here and established is because of the MPA and the CNPS. And this will continue, and we're not going to interrupt that. We're not going to usurp it. We're not going to make it a one-man show. None of that. What we do want is to get all the people in the CNPS, as the president right now, which I'd be happy to turn over sometime, is that we want to make more and more people be able to see what everybody is doing. That's really the most important thing. So,
and I just echo Denny Allen says, what about prayer? Absolutely. We need to pray about this. I have been praying about this a lot. And
my wife lights candles. She has her way of doing stuff, and we do everything we can to get the good vibes and everything you can.
I believe that we've gotten this where we are through the Lord just bringing things together, and it's incredible, all the people that want to be part of this, and all we need to do is get together. We're all on the same team, and we know we just need to, we have slightly different ideas about what might happen, and I'm okay with that,
but the potential is enormous, though. The one thing we all do recognize, the potential is enormous. We wouldn't be saying MP and whatever letter after that if we didn't think it was potential. All right, Greg, I'm going to let you go now, and thank you so much, everybody. All right, and stay around because I want to bring in some stuff. Ian, thumbs up if you want to come up and give your thoughts, or are you okay? Can I bring you up? I'm bringing you up anyways. First of all, let me say, I think you're going to be out of a job, which I think is one of the biggest happinesses we could bring to you right now.
Yes. By the way, just a slight apology. Within the last 5 minutes, my internet has started to blink. I've been cut out twice, so the sound isn't so good. I hope it remains.
No, you're good. So what do you think about all this stuff?
Well, it's exceedingly interesting. I must plead that I've come cold to this because I wasn't really privy to the details. That's nobody's fault. But I find it very interesting, and I'm going to give it a lot more thought. Just maybe one point, which I hope isn't too self-serving, with regard to Matt's presentation. I don't know why the audience, the prime audience, would be restricted to 25 to 65. As I say, self-serving, because I wouldn't fit into that.
Oh, I know, no, he's talking about.
But I do think we should get the younger people as well, David.
That's what he's talking about, though.
Yeah, bring them in, young and teenagers and so on.
That's why he has 25.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, much below that, and I mean, people. I'm happy. I've enjoyed actually doing what I've been doing for 3.5 years or whatever, and I'm very happy. I'm still getting some requests for talks. So we can maybe deal with those, or can hand them over at the time over the next month or two. So it's not drying up.
Of course, no, absolutely. It's not the talks that are drying up. It's not the great conversations. It's not the great science that's drying up. What's drying up is our audience. And the reason is we've got to move into the modern world. And I've seen it. And it's just like screaming at us what we need to do. So the idea is that's the problem. Every time every week, I send out our email list, it goes down by 5. And so, and we have a page. I try to make the page neater. Now we have the Wikipedia for all these things are nice things, but we really going to have to get out into the mainstream of way people do their stuff, because the independent thinker has really taken over, even over mass media now, just regular mass media. I don't watch the regular CNNs, Fox News, MSNBCs anymore. There are great channels out there that really give you the truth about what's going on, especially if you're in America, right? So this is the time to do that. Everything's set up for that. So that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to change it. We're trying to get the audience so that when, like somebody said here, there's some talks here, we should have hundreds and hundreds of people watching. I mean, why isn't that happening? So that's our goal. Our goal isn't to change what people are doing or what they're talking about. Our goal is to get more of an audience for these people. Why isn't it people are watching this? That's a big problem.
Also, there wasn't really anything terribly wrong with what we've been doing, I think, over the last number of years. But we need a change. People get Just looking at the comment there. Bored with the same. There's more of the same, more of the same. I'm the first to admit that.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's the idea. What we're doing, to kind of sum it up, is what we're doing is to get a nonprofit real organization. We had that, but the person who did it died. The CNPS had it. So we get that. We also now have people like John Reed, who said we can get funding to start this podcast to grow into its own community. You have to remember, if we people said, "Oh, I don't want to." I see some comments about podcasts or YouTube channels or whatever. They have the Patreon. We don't want Patreon. No, we do, because the people in Patreon are not the people writing papers. They're not the people talking about ether. They're not the people talking about expanding Earth. They're the people who want to hear about it. They want to see the channel survive, because they enjoy that much more than watching Neil deGrasse Tyson go up and try to defend the last ridiculous science fiction that people are talking about. They're tired of that. So I think that's the way we make the nonprofit. We get the funding to start us off, get that thing rolling. So if we have a channel that has 1 million viewers just from YouTube alone, we are now paying other people to do stuff, and we're doing interviews, we're doing things, and now all the things that we are talking about become new again, and those people are going to have a voice finally. That's the way I see it, because we're going to die. Once our group of people who are talking amongst ourselves are gone, there is no more funding. There's no more whatever. We have to grow the audience. So when he says 25 to 65, he's kind of almost saying we are old. We're 65 and all of this. You know what the average age in our database? The average age way back in 2008.
Probably greater than that.
78.
Yes. Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's not bad, but yeah, he's talking about 25 to 65. Those are people who earn money and who will say, I'll give $6 a month to make sure this channel continues, and that's the idea. And I think, and if we rebrand it from the CNPS to the MPI and have all these other things, it's the same people. And and you guys can continue to do what you're doing. But what we want to do, hopefully, in the next couple of months, is to launch this, get this going, so that when we do this, we now have thousands and thousands of people instead of 12 people right now who are watching this right now. Right.
And I think the NPI is actually, on the face of it, more universal.
Yes.
Because no matter how the contributions made by John Chappelle or whatever, it's a bit like a sort of a latter-day prophet or something like that. Now, I know Tesla Tech could be the same, but I think it's probably better to have a more general name with an individual.
Yeah, I agree. I know there's Nick there. Nick, did you want to come up and say something? A thumbs up? Yes, no? Thumbs up. Okay, I'll give him a thumbs up. So Nick's around. Well, thank you very much, Ian. And we'll continue. Just send me emails when you have more talks. And stuff.
I have one or two coming up in the next month or two. But
okay.
We can talk about that. I'll send you an email when necessary.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ian. And thanks, Ian, for everything he does doing these Saturday mornings. I've been not being able to do it. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Excellent. David, as you know, I had in the last month expressed some concerns about the CNPS and where it was going. And you said, well, give me some time to think about it. Little did I know that you spent a couple of years already thinking about it. And I absolutely loved every presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You and Greg have spent decades been building this foundation. And now I think it's ready to explode. So good to see Greg again.
Yes. And the other thing too is, Nick, when I was working in these 34 days, you are the master of the twin paradox, you are the master of the relativity and the time, all the time stuff. Go to, I don't know, here's something that all of you can do. Everybody who's watching, who's in the CNPS, the MPA or whatever, if you're in that Wikipedia, go to your page, click on the 3 little dots at the top, and it'll tell you how many pages are linked to you. I made sure you were a prominent figure. Every video you have done has its own page and a summary for it.
Fantastic. Wow.
And so that's what I see. I see the legacy of a person like yourself who is an authority. In fact, Claude, who was reading on these, would come with, it's just a pattern match recognition. He's looking at it and he goes, oh, yeah, the king of the twin paradox. I mean, basically, those things. So that's one of the things that's great about this Wikipedia now, is that all those things are there. It's incredible.
I'm glad that you found Claude, because when I use Chat GPT, and this may be true of other AI tools that I ask them about,
large language
special relativity versus Lorentz, they're designed so that they go by whatever the current authority is, which happens to be physics academia. So they get back and say special relativity is right and Lorentz was
Let me tell you what's really happening. First of all, they're all large language models. Second of all, with the other ones that you pay for very little, they're very small probabilities. So the probabilities are going to see less dissonant stuff. Whereas the $200 one, which you pay a month, that thing literally has made pages like light, and it talks about it, and then it talks about, and it's categorize all of we scientists who've dealt with light into like ether. If you go to the ether page, it's huge, it's written, and it's very well done. Why? Because it does everything in the number of nodes. Its probability map is bigger. It's not intelligent. There's zero intelligence, but the probability map. So when you're using ChatGPT for $10, you're getting a very small probability map, which means, guess what? The probability of everything about Einstein is going to be 99% good stuff and not any of the other stuff. The other thing too is Claude, when you have the $200 version, it will go in and look at, it knows and can look at and research the entire, I have it on the computer. So you're a computer programmer. It writes Python stuff to go search the pages automatically from the database, looks at the things, and then does, it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's found mathematical errors. One guy came back and he goes, I don't agree with the assessment. Well, Claude had 3 assessments. Okay, he's kind of right on the first one. The second one, he actually is right. There was a math mistake there. The third one, I'll push back on. It's like, that's amazing. And I am a person who, in my profession, is using LLMs, and I'm taking them out because when you use them for real decision making, they're horrific. Even Claude at the highest level, they invent stuff. They invented an SQL statement and invented a column in a table. And I'm working on a real project in a startup right now. So that's the kind of thing. So these things are really, the $200 version is really quite amazing. It really is. I'm glad you heard about it. Yeah, go ahead.
One quick final thing is I think Greg is visionary in naming everything NP, so that after my next presentation, or if I win the lottery, everything can just be changed to the Nick Percival Institute, et cetera, et cetera. And perhaps
that's very good. I like that. Yeah.
And your tool can be named the Nick L. Percival tool.
It's very good, but I'm really, one of the things I want to say to kind of wrap this up for today is, especially with you here, Nick, and other people as well, Rick, Henry Ricker, all of his great articles he wrote, they now have a wiki page. All of this stuff, and there are people, there's a good one, if you go there to the page, if you go to the homepage on the Wikipedia, and you go and you click on I had it rank all the people in the Wikipedia, all the scientists, and it ranks them by 30% by papers published, 20% by this and this and this and this, and it ranks them. So you can see there are some people in our wiki has 147 publications.
Wow.
So the whole thing is if you are watching and you are one of the scientists and you need something updated or whatever, or you have a suggestion, then do that. But every major topic that people think about in physics is now sitting there. The twin paradox has you all over it, but it talks about it mainstream, and then it talks about it. So this is one of the great things. So I recommend everybody going there and browsing the general thing. Go to special relativity. Just click on that and look what Claude has put together for that. It's amazing. because it does a little summary and then says all the arguments against it. So all the major people, my father, he's getting very old, won't be with us forever. He's got his work there for prosperity, that it's there.
Yeah.
The same with you, Nick, all that stuff. You're going to live to be 103, but that's a different story.
As you mentioned, Harry Ricker's work too. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's in there, very prominent. He's a great writer. So all of them. All right. Well, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I am going to, unless there's somebody who insists on they need to come up and say something. If not, I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. And I do want to thank everybody. Anybody in the green room want to raise their hand if they want to say a word or something? I'm not seeing that. Okay, well, anyways, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Matt and his work. I want to thank, of course, Greg. He's a true friend of mine. He's just one of the amazing souls in this area. We're so lucky to have him. Remember the day we met, and it's great to see him back. Also, the work, Matt, my friend, doing all this work about getting this channel started. I think that's just going to be an absolute super important thing for all of what we're doing in all the areas. I want to thank John Reed, who I met and who's looking to help get funding, for instance, for the podcast. We're hoping to talk with him about that. And of course, Karen for all her work and all the encouragement everybody's had. I've been very encouraged to see that the directions I'm trying to take this organization right now and this plan that kind of caught Ian and also Nick by surprise. I told you I was working in the background, and it's not only me, of course. This is not a one-man show by any chance. So I'm hoping this will all work out. If you have any suggestions for the Wiktionary, Wikipedia, just go to the page, search for anything. And I do want to do the last thing. I do want to show you how this is. I'm going to do a share screen. I'm going to show you what was a blank page that just during what we were talking about is no longer a blank page. So I'll share that. Here it is. This was nothing. There was nothing here, just the title. This is a book now. And it's got what's disputed, Redshift, Ether. This is all done. It's got, see also. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So the Claude at this level is really, doing well. I do see something like this. You can get around that because we have been on a blacklist. We have been on a blacklist. We're no longer on that blacklist, but some places will block it. A lot of times, if you have a VPN, you'll have to go in and say, please let me see these sites. So yeah, we've been hacked by Anonymous because they didn't like my work. By the way, Claude has helped me unhack 4 sites of ours. 4. They were hacked violently, and if it wasn't for having a team of Claude programmers out there, I couldn't have done that. So we have been clean. We have not been hacked, and so I'm very happy about that as well. So all right, I'm impressed. A new experiment to present. All right, that sounds good, and we will see you. Let me get out of this all here and get us out of here with one of the nice videos I had actually made. I love these videos. Let me get another one here. Hey everybody, thanks so much, and stay tuned to our channel because we have more talks coming up, Ian was saying, and we're going to have more news about what's coming up. And if you have something to present, remember to get in contact with us, and we'll get you in contact with the people who are hosting our Saturday mornings, and you can come on and present your work. Thank you so much, everybody. Ciao for now.